Morning, everybody. Here in my backyard. I want to listen to some of the birds that we hear, and who knows, maybe even see some. So we understand that some birds stay here all year. Some birds come here in an eruptive manner to alleviate stress from their home ranges, and some birds migrate here seasonally. There are a lot of birds, obviously, and learning to identify them can be a little bit tricky, so I want to just take today's lesson to kind of break them into categories, scientific categories, and hopefully send you along your way to being able to identify the birds around your home. Everybody's got birds around their house. Differing habitats will certainly produce different birds. I'm just having so much fun because I got birds all around me right now. Behind me, you'll see, actually right here to the left, that's a tree swallow. I've got grosbeaks, goldfinches, sparrows, cardinals, and what I think were some titmice up there just a moment ago. And I even have a bluebird out here. My son Leif built a bluebird house when all this stuff first hit, and sure enough, we got a bluebird in it. So let's get started. So essentially, the birds that we consider to be songbirds are called Passeriformes, and so that covers pretty much any bird you're going to see in your back door, and we'll just kind of break them down into like your real basic categories. So first of all, we've got the Cardinalidae group, which is cardinals, as the word just now. I got a hummingbird and a hummingbird feeder, which is cardinals, grosbeaks, and buntings. Now basically we only have one type of cardinal around here, grosbeaks. We have a few rose-breasted grosbeak and pine grosbeak, and buntings. We have like our indigo bunting, which I'm not even sure has really shown up yet. Then we have the Paridae, which are chickadees and titmice, very common birds that we see on the regular. There are different types of chickadees. There are even different types of titmice, but most of the time we just have kind of our regular eastern chickadee here, and the tufted titmouse. So then we have our Sciatidae, which are nuthatches. They're these birds that you oftentimes see walking with their heads down on trees. And we have the white-breasted nuthatch and the red-breasted nuthatch, or the rose-breasted nuthatch. Big family, which is the thrush family, which is Turdidae. The thrush family, interesting. Those are the really rich songbirds that almost sound like a flute. They actually have a syrinx that goes completely all through their body. So that's going to be like your thrushes, hermit thrush, wood thrush. Hermit thrush being our state bird. Our ovenbirds, vireos. These are woodland songbirds that we hear. But then robins and bluebirds also in that thrush family. The Passeridae, that's our sparrows. Everybody's got sparrows. And the sparrows are kind of separated into, not kind of, they are separated into an old world and new world group. The old world is sparrows that kind of came here from Europe, like your house sparrows, etc. And then our new world sparrows, like our song sparrows, it's a big group. They can be pretty hard to differentiate, actually. I struggle with them. I don't always know exactly what type of sparrow I'm looking at. Their song, it really helps us figure out what they are. And of course, with the internet, we have such great resources as to listening to a song and pinpointing what the bird is. But so that's your sparrows. I have lots of them around here. Sometimes it almost feels like there's too many of them. A lot of those are those old world sparrows. Let me just check the camera, make sure it's running, because it's been known to stop on me. It's still going. Okay, then we have our Fringillidae. Those are finches, so goldfinches, house finches, purple finches. Those are the common ones that we're going to see around here. We've got our Icteridae. Those are blackbirds, red-winged blackbird, grackle. I think the cowbird's in that one. And probably the most spectacular would be the oriole, and the oriole's just showing up around here. Love it if somebody got an oriole. I have not had it. I had an oriole here last year quickly, but it didn't stick around. Orioles can be kind of baited in if you take an orange and cut them in half. And I think we'll have to set up some bird feeding stations for you guys in some way. The mimidae, kind of the root word mimic there, that's your mockingbirds, and we do actually have mockingbirds here in Vermont. The most common is the gray catbird that you hear go meow, meow, and it actually is, it can mimic other bird songs. But there's also some birds called thrashers, like the brown thrasher, and the creeper too, I think, brown thrasher, brown creeper, are both birds that are in that mockingbird or mimidae family. Then we have the corvidae. That's been funny because I keep calling this COVID thing corvid because I've taken so many ornithology classes. But corvidae is, and I've got this major problem back here. I've got my chicken coop, and I got this family of ravens, which are in the corvid family, coming down and stealing my eggs. Like every day, they go right in the coop and steal the eggs out of there. So the corvidae are ravens, crows, and then blue jays. So we talked about piciforms, which are woodpeckers. I had you do an assignment earlier in the week on woodpeckers, and the woodpeckers we have here, which you are now familiar with, are downy, hairy, the sapsucker, and the pileated woodpecker. Those are our four main woodpeckers here. Of course, we can have some that kind of come in on the fringe, but those are the ones that were the most common with us. And then we've got our Parulidae. So those are warblers. And warblers are a massive group of birds that are coming here in Vermont almost every day. We're getting a new species of warbler. They come seasonally from southern areas. And again, like the swallows, they get differentiated into your old world and your new world warblers. So I know that's an awful lot of information, but it begins to narrow it down. I'll just kind of go over it again real quick. So basically you have the cardinal family, right? Then you have the chickadee family. Then you have the nuthatch family. Then you have the thrush family. Then you have the sparrow family. Then you have the finch family. Then you have the blackbird family. Then you have the mockingbird family. Then you have the raven, I'll say crow family. Then you have the warbler family, the woodpecker family, and the swallow family. So it really helps to begin breaking those down. And there are key features to each one of those birds that help us identify them. For example, the cardinals, the cardinal family, they all have a very thick, shortish beak. Whereas, say, the warblers have a very, very thin beak, and they're a very small bird. The thrushes have this incredibly rich flute-like vocal sound, and you're hearing that, you're like, man, it's something, it kind of awakes something inside you. You're like, that is just so gorgeous. Oh, wren. I've got a wren here. This is a house. I didn't even talk about the wren family. And I don't know the Latin for the wren family, but I like it. We've got Carolina wrens and house wrens. They're beautiful little birds. They have an upright tail. That really helps us identify them. And they have to get back to you. Hummingbirds, I guess I'd forgotten about that. But yeah, right here in Hubbardton, I have right now an awesome showing of rose-breasted grosbeaks. Always have chickadees and titmice. Now I've got this house wren. I've got a nesting bluebird, nesting swallows, tree swallows. Barn swallows have they hang around on barns, and they have that very distinct forked tail. Sailors used to get tattoos of swallows. My grandfather had it, actually, 2 of them on both pectoral, because when you see swallows, you know you're close to land. I've got tons of sparrows that come out of the swamp, blackbirds that come out of the swamp, ravens that come off the cliffs to raid my eggs. I'm looking at a sparrow over here right now. I've got an eastern bluebird, which is again in the thrush family, right in that birdhouse over there. So we're going to get you to start being able to identify the birds that are in your backyard. So that kind of gives you just the basic families of birds: cardinals, chickadees, nuthatches, thrushes, sparrows, finches, blackbirds, mockingbirds, warblers, woodpeckers, swallows, hummingbirds, wrens. Okay.